Good morning, this is your AI host, Jay. I'm here with the automatically generated, Journato, morning headlines on January 24, 2024. Houthis ask British and US aid workers to leave Yemen after second round of joint airstrikes. Sky News, Houthis order UN staff from US, UK to leave Yemen in a month, WION. WION, Houthis give British aid workers 30 days to leave Yemen. The Telegraph, Iran-backed Houthis order all US, British staff of UN to leave Yemen. The Times of Israel, Houthis ask British and US aid workers to leave Yemen after further airstrikes. New Hampshire primary. How did Joe Biden win despite not being on the ballot? BBC, Joe Biden wins New Hampshire primary despite not being on ballot. The Independent, Joe Biden is missing in action in New Hampshire. LA Times fires 115 journalists in HR Zoom webinar following union protests. The Guardian, Los Angeles Times to lay off 20% of its workforce. BBC, Los Angeles Times lays off more than a fifth of its journalists, 115 newsroom positions eliminated. Every year spent in school or university improves life expectancy, study says. The Guardian, getting more education can help you live longer. Time, staggering health benefits of education show why populist politics is leading us astray, Scotsman comment. Worthing man running length of Africa halted by visa issue. Man started South African building fire that killed 76 to get rid of another body. German court ban on state funding for Heimat seen as model for AfD. BBC, German court ruling sparks calls to stop state funding for far-right AfD. The Guardian, German court cuts funding to hardline far-right party. Al Jazeera English, Germany's top court rules far-right party's ideology makes it ineligible for funding. Euronews, German court bans funding for extreme right party, fueling debate on AfD. Germany expected to grind to a halt during country's longest train strike. The Guardian, Germany, train drivers begin longest strike yet. DW, English, German train drivers union calls six-day strike over pay and working hours. Hampstead Highgate Express, German train drivers union calls for more strikes. Reuters. Reuters, train strikes in Germany could cost €1 billion. Kaylin Gillis, householder guilty of killing woman in driveway wrong turn. BBC, man guilty of killing woman who pulled into his driveway by mistake. The Independent, closing argument questions, reckless act or tragic accident. WNYT News Channel 13, man convicted of murdering woman who wound up in his driveway after wrong turn. Deadliest day of Gaza war so far for Israeli army as 24 soldiers killed. The Independent, Israel-Gaza war, IDF says 24 soldiers killed in Gaza in one day. BBC, live, Israel continues assault on encircled Khan Yunis as public mourns slain soldiers. France 24 English, Israeli troops in close encounter with Hamas militants. The Times and the Sunday Times, First FT, Israel suffers deadliest day of the war. UN Secretary-General says Israel's rejection of two-state solution is unacceptable. The Guardian, Israel's war on Gaza live, collective punishment, inflicted on Gaza, UN. Al Jazeera English, nothing can justify collective punishment of Palestinians, Guterres tells UNSC, France 24. France 24 English, UN Security Council to hear calls for Israel to let more aid into Gaza. The Guardian, Middle East latest, Gaza hospitals raided by Israeli forces, officials say, as Houthis warn UK and US to expect response to new attacks. Ukraine death toll rises to 18 after Russian missile attacks. BBC, Russia-Ukraine war, Kyiv and Kharkiv under missile attack, as it happened. The Guardian, 18 killed as Russia carries out strikes on Ukraine's two biggest cities. Sky News, at least 18 killed in wave of Russian missile attacks on Ukraine. Al Jazeera English, 18 dead after Russian missiles strike cities across Ukraine, says Zelensky. Middle East crisis live, US carries out new strikes against Houthi anti-ship missile sites in Yemen. The Guardian, US and UK carry out further strikes on Houthi rebels in Yemen, DW News. DW News, latest US-UK strikes on Houthis in Yemen was self-defense, Sunak. BBC, editorial, there is growing disquiet over Britain's response to events in the Red Sea. The Independent, Bloomberg Daybreak Europe, UK, US strike Yemen. This was all for the news. Thanks for listening. Please do not forget to like and subscribe.